Um, Board, Superintendent, members of the district, thank you very much for allowing me to come and speak here tonight on Measure AA. My name is Chris Kiefer. I'm a member of the Board of Directors of Lifelong Medical Care, which is a nonprofit volunteer board, and I'm a volunteer in the trenches, you might say, for Measure AA. I was here for Measure A very proudly, and I'd just like to tell you very briefly what Measure AA is and ask for your support for it. You may have read in the papers recently about Doctors Hospital in Contra Costa County, West Contra Costa County. I live in Contra Costa County now, and we have a clinic across the street from Doctors Hospital. Doctors Hospital lost a ballot measure about a week ago, Measure C, and they're probably going to close. This is a terrible disaster for West Contra Costa County. Doctors Hospital sees about 40,000 patients a year in their emergency room, and they're the only qualified trauma center and emergency disaster center in West Contra Costa County. Now, patients will have to go to John Muir Hospital in Walnut Creek or to Alta Bates in Berkeley. Kaiser has a few beds, but they won't be able to anywhere near handle the volume of emergency patients. Why did this happen? Well, it's because of the climate in which the safety net hospitals and clinics function. We don't have that problem in Alameda County. We almost did. In 2003, the county hospital was on the verge of closing for the same reasons. They were broke, and they were firing people right and left because they couldn't afford to take care of their clientele, many of whom have no insurance. But the county is committed to caring for those people. Our community clinics are committed also. So why doesn't Alameda County have that problem? It's because we have Measure A. Measure A was passed in 2004. It's a half-cent sales tax that you all pay in Alameda County, and it provides about $100 million a year for essential medical services for uninsured, low-income uninsured patients who can't pay. That's why our hospitals are always walking on eggshells, because it's hard to care for this population. But the reason we're healthier than Contra Costa is because we have this. Well, Measure A was approved as a 15-year measure, which will sunset in 2019. We want to renew the measure now because that will give us 2 election cycles to try to make sure that it does pass. If Measure AA does not pass, then we are in the same situation that Contra Costa County is. Alameda County has about 100,000 uninsured patients, uninsured citizens right now. That's with the Affordable Care Act. That's counting the Affordable Care Act. Those patients, many of those patients need urgent services every year, and the county is committed to caring for them. By the way, in Contra Costa County, if you go to the Contra Costa County Clinic and say, I need help, the first question they ask is, what's your insurance? And if you say, I have no insurance, they say, well, give us $150 and we'll make an appointment for you. We don't do that in Alameda County. Okay. So Measure A, that's the essential facts. Measure AA will provide essential services. That's emergency care, well baby care, and maternal child care, services for youth. Measure AA provides quite a lot of money to the 14, I believe it is 14 schools in the county that have school-based health centers as well. And if anyone's interested, you can ask me about what kinds of services they provide. Those are the essentials of what AA is. As I said, the county, the safety net clinics, the community health centers and county clinics in Alameda County are stressed. They're stressed for a number of reasons, even with the Affordable Care Act. As I said, we have a large uninsured low-income population that we have to take care of, or that we're committed to taking care of. Also, the state of California has, in its largesse, has a plan, Governor Brown's plan, is to recover any money to the state that is not spent by the counties as a result of the newly insured under the Affordable Care Act. So we're facing a loss of, who knows, somewhere in the millions, several $1 million this coming year, and who knows where it goes from there. I think that's about enough remarks from me. I'll just show you. First of all, of course, June 3rd is the election, and we would like you to vote for Measure AA. And if you have the time and inclination, I would also urge you to get involved in promoting it. Measure A, the ancestor of Measure AA, passed very handily with about around 70% of the vote, which that's great. But economic times have changed, as you all know, as you're all feeling. So it's essential that we get the vote out and that we support this measure if we want to continue to be the progressive, caring county that we are now. So thanks very much. And if there are time for a couple of questions, I will try to answer them.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kiefer. Are there questions from board members about the presentation?
Ms. Kiefer, great presentation, and I think the measure needs to be supported. So, from the standpoint of this board, what would you like for us to do?
Well,
or individually, what would you like for us to do?
When you are legally entitled to support Measure AA. It's not a political issue, and I would urge you to contact the Yes on A Center, and they can provide you with materials that with whatever means are at your disposal to distribute. I would think that some publicity in the schools, a chance to talk with parents would be helpful as well. I'm just asking you to publicize the issue and in any way that's appropriate for you.
No,
Thank you.
Very helpful. Thank you. Other questions for Mr. Kiefer? Any public comments or questions about the Measure AA? Please come on up, Ms. Jacobson. If you or at least get you on the microphone.
Yeah, you gotta speak to him.
Sorry.
I just wanted to know is if Measure AA passes, will that be a tax on top of the
Very good question. Yeah.
a tax on top of the existing tax between now and 2019?
No, very good question. I neglected to mention that. There will be no additional taxes. Measure AA is simply to continue the existing Measure A for another 15 years after Measure A sunsets.
Taxes that will kick in 2019.
Yeah, that's right. There will just be a handoff from what we now have to the another 15-year extension. That's all. No new taxes.
Right.
Any other public comments?
I will say that the Measure AA campaign is very well organized. Last night I was phone banking for the organization, making phone calls to a list of voters, and that's something that you can do. You can volunteer to phone bank, or you can volunteer to any number of tasks that the AA campaign has. Keith Garson is one of the major supporters of the measure. Supervisor Keith Carson and Supervisor Nate Miley is very supportive too. So if you, they're the champions of this, and they would appreciate your help.
Great. Well, I look forward to supporting. I have my ballot. I'm ready to go. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other
Thank you.
public comments? It is. And we just have one more public comment.
He's going to actually come to the mic.
Finished? Okay, thanks.
If you have a question for me,
No, it's not a question for you specifically. Is that yours? Thanks. Okay, the board president just committed a Brown Act violation by not permitting public comment for an agendized item. The Sacramento spells this out very clearly. It's not up to you to deny parents from being able to speak on duly agendized items. That's not legal. It's called the Brown Act. You should check it out. I think you should start coming in compliance with the law. School board member Affelt essentially just slandered me when he said that I'm not entitled to my own facts. And what I had reported to everybody here was that this board and this district takes Mr. John Gooding very seriously. He's a serious person, and I said I was chagrined by that. And then I went on to say how Mr. Gooding had said we need to have a corporate agenda. We need to prepare students for the corporate workforce. Then Mr. Affelt said, I'm not entitled to my own facts. I would like you to tell me, and everybody here, where I misspoke. I mean, because you just told everybody here, everybody assembled the camera, people watching on television, that I misrepresented the facts in some regard.
Mr. Donahue, you're supposed to be commenting on the agenda.
I am talking about the Measure AA. There's a poetic connection with Measure AA. So I am speaking about that. So could you please stop interrupting, because it's my time to speak.
No, but you're not speaking on the item.
No, I'm sorry. There is a poetic connection.
This is a long night. So let's.
Could you please stop? Could you please let me speak?
You got probably like 1 minute left.
Could you please let me speak?
You got 1 minute. That's it.
Could you please stop interrupting me?
You got 1 minute.
Okay, now Mr. Affelt has put a public charge out there that I somehow misrepresented the facts, and I would like him to clear it up, because what I told everybody was I didn't like the fact that Mr. Gooding is taken seriously by this district, and Mr. Gooding has these corporate views about what we should be doing with public education. I reported that. That's factual information. The board did entertain Mr. Gooding at the school board retreat. Mr. Gooding did make that presentation. I said I didn't like it, and then you told me that I somehow misrepresented the facts. So it's my opinion that I don't like that, and I don't appreciate that. So I want you to tell me and tell everybody how I misrepresented the facts, and I'll see you next time.
All right. Any other public comment regarding Measure AA? That's it? All right. So we are actually here for a wonderful item this evening. And so we're done? All right. So an interesting evening. Well, so we're now on item G, appointment of superintendent of schools. Mr. Sugiyama, will you be introing this a little bit? I need a moment. Thank you.
I've actually had the pleasure of talking with our incoming new superintendent, but I've actually not had the pleasure of meeting him yet. So it may be more appropriate, President Dice, if you were to do the honors in introducing him.
Thank you for giving me a chance to take a drink of water. Thank you. So this evening, it's my pleasure to introduce or to announce that the board will be effectively, we